Welcome back to the Horror Academic, and as promised, today's review is Blackula Scream. It was last night's film, well, yesterday's film, but, I didn't get a chance to record, so doing it now, and Blackula Scream. I'm going to be totally honest, when I went into this set, I was not excited at all for Blackula, because, like I said, I always thought it was kind of cheeseball sounding, like just a gimmick. But I was really looking forward to the sequel because I knew Pam Grier was in it and I had seen some clips and she looked pretty badass. But I gotta admit, watching them myself now, I came away the opposite. I really thought Blackula was pretty good, and Blackula Scream to me kind of came off as one of those kind of real quick, like cash in, we had a little bit of success, let's do it again right away. And they didn't give them enough time to maybe do as well on the screenplay, and I just didn't feel that they added much to the story. And I think the first one really was, had some stuff in there that was really trying to get some ideas in. I mean, I'm not going to say that this movie was awful. I'm just going to say I was disappointed because I was really looking forward to it. And all right, so the first thing I will say is that there's a lot less action in the sequel than in the original, I felt. It's a lot more talking. It's a lot more... I don't know. I just didn't feel like this was action-packed. Didn't get that come across. A plus, we have moved away from the blue undead to now gray undead. The effects are a little bit better in this one. But I think they're not as prevalent. I will say that, well, so there is like this one idea that is kind of carried through from the original, that you're very much dealing with neighborhoods where the majority of the people who live there are black, but the cops are majority white. And that's really shown well in one sequence. There's a death at a party, and everyone at the party is black, pretty much. And when the person dies, I mean, we know it was Blackula attacking, but because there are people there who are known voodoo practicers, the cops, when they come in, they're like, well, this has to be you guys with your voodoo, and you use snakes, and that bite looks like it's from a snake, and you drink blood and all this in your rituals, so just tell me it's voodoo and we'll get that over with. And that kind of comes across very much where Pam Grier's character, who is the she's kind of like the adopted daughter of the high priestess in her group, who has recently passed, and she's kind of, it's debatable if she's the heir. But so it's known that she's kind of the person who's going to be taking over. But so this cop is kind of trying to use this to his advantage and be like, well, what kind of enemies do you have, right? Like, who's trying to get to you and might get to one of your friends, so that was very much like the only one who would really, even in any way, he would listen to is Pam Grier's friend, Lisa's friend, who's an ex-detective, who is I believe, the owner of the home. And he's kind of essentially the theme of the party was to show off this grand collection he has of African art. And that's how come Blackula comes, because he's heard about this collection of African antiquities. So when they're being questioned, that does come into play, and it's very obvious that these are racist cops who have no care about the people that they're supposed to be protecting and serving. So that part I thought was pretty effective. As far as, I think maybe my issue even going into this one now, as much as I was looking forward to it, because I figured, Pam Grier's going to be a good action flick, was at the end of the first film. And oh, by the way, spoiler on a movie from 1972, Blackula. I'm like, how the hell are they going to make a sequel? He suicides at the end. Like any vampire would, he suicides by walking into the sun. There's no coming back from that. So how do they do it? And that's why this film, which is made a year later, they bring in voodoo as a way to, okay, well, somebody somebody for some reason was able to get the bones of Blackula, and they're used in this ritual, and blah de blah, and you bring him back. Okay, I don't know how else you could have done that, to be honest. So to bring a vampire back after he's dusted is pretty tough. But I mean, yes, the elements of voodoo, they look kind of cool, but I don't know if aside from that, and I mean, they do play a big part at the end of it in how she's able to kind of take down Blackula. But again, I was a little surprised. I was expecting her to be like the lead and, the woman who's going to go after him. And for half of the film at least, she is not a dominant character. She's dominant in the kind of overall story, but she's not one of the people that is going after him particularly. She's a little bit more docile in the story. She's looking after her friend. She's after her friend does die. She's watching the body. She's even at one point. I mean, the first encounter she has with Blackula, she goes more into that scream queen kind of realm of women in horror, where it's one of those blood curdling screams. But it takes a while, I think, for her to kind of become a force in this film. And that was surprising. I thought this would be a little more dominantly her. Looking at the film, it's from 1973. So I was surprised because I'm like, well, maybe this is just really early in her career, and she hasn't had a lot of leads yet. But what I was surprised to find out was that this is right after, I believe, Coffee. So she already had a pretty significant lead. Oh, I will say, yeah, William Marshall is back again playing Blackula. He does it well. I like how he kind of goes back and forth between the two characteristics. When he's, again, playing that kind of debonair kind of vampire, he does that well. Very much kind of like a, I'm not going to say it's as extreme differences as the Stoker's Dracula, but it's that idea that there's two sides to the character of the vampire, and almost like you'd think like a Bruce Wayne to his Batman kind of thing, because he can be the sophisticated guy who knows all these worldly things, and can go to parties and speak well about art and history, but then he can also boom, like that, suck somebody dry at the party. So all that to say, yeah, he does good coming back as Blackula. I thought that was, good role. But yeah, as far as Scream Blackula Scream comes out right after Coffee, so she's already had that leading role, and I think the Big Birdcage, I think she's the lead on that too. It is, I will say, right before Foxy Brown comes out, and maybe Friday Foster. So these are maybe the ones that are a bit more. But Coffee, unless they were filmed in opposite order, Coffee's our movie, so. Yeah, I was just surprised by that. I really thought it would be all about how cool Pam Grier was. But, maybe it's the screenwriting, but she does not really, especially it's even advertised as, Blackula has met his match, and it's Pam Grier looking all cool, and, he does, but it's like one of those things where it's like the last 15 minutes, So, yeah. By the way, it's really nice out today, so I opened the window, and that's what happens. Anyway, all that to say, I was a little disappointed, but like I said, it's not the worst movie I've ever seen. It just didn't grab me. But of these two, oddly enough, I would say Blackula was better than its sequel, Scream Blackula Scream. I was surprised by that. But yeah, so that finishes those up, and I will see you guys next week on the Horror Academic. Bye.